Good morning, love wrestling. It is Thursday morning. It is 10 a.m. And y'all know what that means. Drew's here. I am here. And we are here for another edition of Firmly AEW. Going to be diving into Dynamite tonight, talk a little bit of what happened on the 1 year anniversary of Collision on Saturday, but Dynamite was quite a good show, I thought, last night. Had a lot of stuff that happened in it. I thought it moved forward a bunch of stories. I liked it, so we're going to be honing in on that today. But before we start diving in, Drew, how are you today? How we doing this week, my friend?
We're doing pretty well. I had more days off of work than on work this week. So
well, we had the holiday yesterday. So I assume, was that a day? Yeah.
That's a day, and then Monday was something else. I don't remember, but that was nice. So state testing week in the city, in New York, and God, nobody likes them. So hopefully they'll get rid of them soon.
Who likes testing?
Might be actually getting rid of them soon.
Yeah, so, I mean that has been an argument since hell I was in school. Was about the testing and if we do it right and all the stuff like that. I can only imagine. But no, I remember testing weeks as a student, and I was like, "This is get me out of here."
Yes, that was before the school that I went to, that I now work at, had air conditioners in all the classes.
Oh, you need them. You need them in the Northeast. These last few days, going to be 100 today where I am, Drew. 100.
They do now, so thankfully that's nice. But back in the mid 2000s,
yeah, back when we were there, I went to a high school without walls, so that's right. That's right. Whenever I tell people that, it's been a while since I've talked about high school because it's so long ago. But whenever I tell people that my high school it has walls now. They rebuilt it after I left, of course. Duh. They rebuilt it like within a decade or so after I left. So now it's a normal looking school. But like I went to a school that was built in the 70s. There was some sort of like new thing happening and we had no walls. So like we had like partitions. So there would be like chalkboards or partitions. So like I would be sitting there in English class. I would be sitting there in English class and it was open concept. So like the class, I could hear the Spanish class next to me.
I get it now.
So you would have to really, focus, but there were no walls. There was just one big building. There were two sections of the building, North House and South House. North House was English and foreign language. South House was history and math. And all the science nerds had their own classrooms down the bottom. I say that with respect to the science nerds. I suck at science, so you're nerds. But
you said no walls, and I'm like, was it outside?
No, like there were walls to the building. There was a building you walked into, but once you walked into the building, besides downstairs where the gym and the science labs were, no walls. It was all open concept.
You were in like in an airplane hangar.
Kind of. That's what it felt like. It was unbelievable. Like you're a 14-year-old kid walking in there and you hear like, oh, there's no walls. You're going to be hearing all different classes. You got to really focus. You got to do all that. And some of that was true. But like once you got used to it, though, it was very, I tell people that like whenever high school or school's brought up, I'm like, yeah, well, I went to a high school with no walls. And they look at me like, what does that mean? I'm like, it means we had no walls. We were listening to 2 or 3 classrooms at a time. You just had to focus on your teacher. It was weird. But anyway, I digress.
If you didn't learn properly, you could have sued them like Kevin Kelly's trying to.
I probably should. Can I retroactively do that? What's the statute of limitations? Stuff like that. Is it 20 years? Because that's where I'm at. Last year was my 20-year high school reunion. That's right. All right, Drew.
Did you go?
Of course I did. It was a friggin' blast, bro. Got hammered.
You you're like friends with some high school people still?
Well, I would say if you're it depends on what you classify as friends. I'm friends with probably like 6 people that I went to high school with, like still see regularly, still talk to regularly. Okay. I just saw them on Monday night. We watched the Celtics clinch the championship together. So like I'm friends with those guys, but I'm friendly. Listen, I know a lot of people look at high school a different way. Like we're kids, we're older now, but like I had a good time in high school. I had a lot of friends. We had a good time. So like I went to the reunion. We didn't do a 10-year. So we did straight to 20 because the 10-year didn't get enough buzz. Everyone was like, nah, screw that. We still see each other enough. But now that it's been 20 years, yeah, we had like over 300 people showed up. We had a 500 plus person class. We had 300 people show up to the 20-year reunion. It was a lot. It was a lot. But anyway, it was a good time. It was a good time. All right, Drew, this past weekend, I know we're going to focus on Dynamite. We have about, we're going to be going a little shorter than usual today. We got till about 11:10 or something like that. So we're going to focus on Dynamite because it's the more fresher show. But this past Saturday was the 1-year anniversary edition of Collision. There were a bunch of good matches, as we are to expect with Collision. Usually,
it was probably also the 1-year anniversary of us going from Thursday to Sunday.
I was probably going to say it was around there, right? Because we did it right because of Collision.
Yeah.
So we were originally in this time slot, and then when Collision came along, we were like, we should move. And we did that dance, and now we've been back here for 3 weeks or so. So, yeah, it's probably around that time. And were we doing the show? Like, we weren't doing the show, like, ridiculously earlier than Collision, right? I felt like that was... How long were we on Thursdays originally? A couple months, maybe? Was it that long?
I think it was a good, like, 6 months or so.
Oh, was it really? Holy crap.
I have to go back because we don't.
My limit of time. So I have no reference on time. Scott, good morning in the chat, my friend. How you doing, buddy? I have no you could ask me when something happened, and in my brain, I'm like, this could have been a year ago or 9 years ago. I have no recollection of when time in that form does not work for me. But I just wanted to open the floor up because look, Collision has been a good show. It's still a good show, but it's more. I feel like Dynamite is very much where, how do I put this? I feel like Collision has a lot of filler.
Agreed.
Sometimes, if that makes sense. And I feel like you don't get as much.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I feel like you don't get as much of that with Dynamite. So that's why we're going to kind of focus on Dynamite, because I thought last night's Dynamite was an excellent episode of television. And Collision was good too, but like anything at Collision, obviously there was the Christian Cage segment, if we wanted to touch that briefly. The 8-man tag with TDMK, Leo Rush, and Rocky Romero versus the Blackpool Combat Club. That was a good little opener. Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa killed it in that no DQ match. Just awesome.
Yeah, very much.
Unbelievable. Did you want to dive into the and I'll just say this, and I know I've said it before, more Dalton Castle. Thank you.
I love that man.
Oh, he's amazing. Did you want to discuss the Christian Cage segment? Do you have things you wanted to?
I think that I think it was furthering at some. I mean, listen, it's been furthering for like 6 friggin' months now, or more at this point.
Yeah.
At least since before World's End.
Yeah.
They did the Father's Day gift to Patriarch Christian Cage, and then Nick Wayne did this just ridiculous, like 5-year-old style card of like what a 5-year-old would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
was Father's Day after all,
Yeah. And it just got the just adulation and admiration and all this love and praise from Christian, and then legitimate painter, I believe, IRL,
Yes.
Luchasaurus, aka
Yes.
Killshot,
Kill Switch.
uh, Kill Switch, right? Killshot's the world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Does this absolutely stunning painting of
Yeah.
Christian
That Christian just downplays and does not give one shit about. Not one shit.
Not one shit.
Nope. He
And
just goes,
just like,
oh,
whatever.
all right. And then he goes back to gushing over the kindergarten-like card that Nick Wayne got him.
Yeah, it was
Incredible.
so, again, we're furthering this eventual split between them. We don't know when it's gonna happen because it's been happening for a while. But eventually, we'll see it. So but the something that was just crazy that Christian Cage ended up saying at the end of this promo,
Toni,
of the segment was, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact words, but it was that, like, because Tony Khan's father gave him money to start AEW, it put a smile on his face, and because of that, he feels that AEW is his company, so therefore he's now Tony Khan's father.
Tony, I am your father now, is what he said. So Christian Cage, yeah. No, I thought it was really good. I like the whole relationship that's happening with the EVPs and Christian and how they're kind of in cahoots with each other. He mentions that his shoulder was up at Double or Nothing, and there's footage of it, but the EVPs asked him not to show it because the family doesn't make excuses and things like that. So now, in order for him to get back to the world heavyweight picture, they have to focus on the trios championships. So it feels like Christian, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne might be going for the trios belts at some point or soon, which is good. I thought it was really good. Like you said, Killswitch, like he's got to leave this group at some point, right? He's got to be done with the second fiddle. He's clearly playing second fiddle. They treat him like trash all the time.
Yeah, and I don't know. The thing is, though, and I kind of get why it hasn't happened yet, because what do you do with him after that? I really don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
My whole thing was, I thought that, I said this when the turn happened to begin with, Luchasaurus should have just dropped the dinosaur thing completely, and like how Kane did when they did the corporate Kane deal.
Mm-hmm.
Just like drop the gimmick essentially, and just become this like very poised and well educated that he is in real life. Again, I think he has like a master's degree in something.
Yes.
The real person, I don't remember his real name, but Luchasaurus, the person, has a master's degree, is a painter, does all these other things that are really interesting to explore outside of the gimmick, I would feel.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that his heel turn could have been him dropping that gimmick and becoming this new suit-wearing persona. I thought maybe would have been like the nicer way to go, instead of just, trapping him in this gimmick still just as a heel.
Yeah.
But
I don't know much about the dude that plays him. Like, I know he was in, before he became Luchasaurus, he was in NXT for a bit. Like, I don't know. Did he take on the Luchasaurus character to help with some of his deficiencies? If that makes sense. Like, my only concern would be like whether you still dig the kill switch Luchasaurus thing now. I mean, the gimmick is still on television. The gimmick still gets a reaction from the crowd. If you were to remove that gimmick and this guy is average, he's done. It's over. Whereas with Luchasaurus and Kill Switch, like Yeah, he is the third fiddle. He's not the main focal point right now, but he's still in a thing that's on television basically weekly, and is still in a situation where in this story with this group, he does matter still. I just worry that at some point you can't be the dinosaur forever, dude. You can't have, I mean, maybe you can. I don't know. Who knows? It's wrestling. People are more into like obscure stuff nowadays than I feel like they were 20 years ago. But at some point you think
at one point, even Rey Mysterio dropped a mask.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, it's one of those things to me where it's like, at some point, yeah, you got to not be the dinosaur. I get that. But if he is like, and again, we don't know, but like, what if he's like not a great promo, or what if he doesn't have good presence without being this character? You know what I mean? Then it's kind of like, hey, we tried it. I mean, I guess you could always just bring Luchasaurus back, I guess. But that's my only concern is like, the guy made his way around a bunch of companies because he was given chances and he didn't live up to the expectations that the company thought. He created this character. This character got over. Now he's been in AEW with this character. If all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're getting you out of this character, you're going to be a regular person now. That I think from my history, like there's a good chance that shit don't work. And then now you just lost somebody. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
That would be my only concern. But also they did an injury angle at the end of Collision. The main event was the Bang Bang Gang versus House of Black. It looked like the Bang Bang Gang was going to win. Pac got involved to kind of screw them over because they're still doing the Pac Jay White thing. God bless. And the House of Black ended up winning. But at the end of the show, Christian Cage was congratulating the House of Black on becoming top contenders in the trios division, but he said there's only a problem, you're not a trio anymore. And they panned the camera over, and Buddy Matthews was laid out on top of a chair like he had gotten concertoed. So obviously, as we talk about, that's kind of where they're going. It looks like it's going to be House of Black versus Christian and the Patriarchy here. As the next little
sounds wonderful.
Oh, I'm all in. Yeah, let's go.
And of course, Buddy Matthews had gotten injured, quote unquote, but it seems like that actually isn't the case and was just storyline.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, which is good.
Because because honestly, and I had even said that, it said this on Saturday, and I believe my Fightful crew were saying that on their show, like if they put all of that together on the fly in the last 5-6 minutes of the show, or that whole of him getting injured, and then they had to have the run-in, and then they had to have Christian Cage and the Patriarchy in the back, and the camera shot set up, and there was just too much for them to have. I mean, I guess you could come up with a solution quickly, but to have it fit in such a good storyline way, if it was an actual injury that was not planned at all, they, props to them. But it does. It seems like it was an actual storyline instead of it being a legitimate injury.
Yeah, which is always good. You don't want people to be getting legitimately injured. It's never fun talking about stuff like that. All right, we move over to AEW Dynamite. It took place from Fairfax, Virginia last night. And the show started off commercial free with the return match. Since his return, MJF going one-on-one with Rush. This match was fantastic. Very brutal. Max took a lot of offense in this one. Rush beat the crap out of him in this match. I mean, I thought this match, honestly, you heard people over the last couple of weeks, they were like, MJF's coming back and he's gonna, not us. We were very pro on it because we thought that they were gonna have this type of match that we saw last night. And I think all those people that were bitching about Roosh now, where are they now? Oh, you quiet? Yeah, because you're a bunch of idiots. So, but I thought this match was perfect for both of them, Drew. I thought this match made Roosh look like an absolute badass that you need to worry about, and a guy that is going to be like going for champion. Yeah, he lost. I get it, but he lost to MJF, who's like the best in the world. You know what I mean? I thought this match was fantastic. They beat the crap out of each other. Roosh really showed up with really good offense, beat the absolute crap out of MJF throughout a good portion of this match. MJF did some of the things he poked Roosh's eye. He did a couple of his things that get the people going.
Oh, that was a great spot.
It was a great spot.
Was so funny.
Yeah, it was a great spot. But really, this match was really, really physical, really back and forth. I knew it was going to be a good match, but it was even better. Like, Max took way more offense than I thought he was gonna.
Yeah, I agree, and it didn't go as long as I thought.
No, it wasn't horrific. Yeah, I'm nothing that but it wasn't terribly
it was like 15
long
minutes.
Yeah, it was like but it was it was really, really good. I feel like they really, that last like 8 to 10 minutes of it was back and forth, false finishes, close kick out, all these things, physical, just it was really, really good. And I thought both men came out looking good. MJF gets the big win, and we're going to talk about some stuff that happened with him later. But MJF gets the big win, but I thought Roosh looked like $1 million in defeat here. I think both men are just kind of, we know where MJF's going, but I think Roosh is not far behind him. You know what I mean? MJF is top of the company, like Roosh ain't there, but like main event scene, like Roosh is right there. And I thought that match to start the show last night proved exactly why.
It did. It absolutely did. A lot of Roosh has had haters. I don't understand it either, like you. He's a really great wrestler. He is not even a bad talker. Like he
can talk perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay, yes, he's got broken English. Whatever. You can hear what he's saying. You can understand what he's saying. Thankfully, somebody later in the show who had broken English didn't get what chance.
Yeah.
Thank God. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this match, and it was perfect for MJF's return.
Yeah. Yep. MJF picked up the victory with a brain buster, the sheer drop brain buster he hit there. And then post-match, that was really nice. Post-match, we see Cage of Agony on the Tron, and they are with Hechicero. And Brian Cage tells MJF that Hechicero is his opponent at Forbidden Door. And then Hechicero cut a promo in Spanish on MJF. So that will be MJF's Forbidden Door opponent. Well, Scott, he put MJF over last night. He did his job last night. I've heard, and you're right, Scott. You're right. That has been the stuff that I've read online, is that Roosh gets a lot of blah, 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 because he's not happy when he has to lose or doesn't like putting people over. And it's like, okay, I get that. And there have been times where, people put videos up and you're like, okay. But last night, guess what? He did his job. He looked like $1 million. He put MJF over. And one little thing I saw is after the 3 count, Roosh kind of tapped MJF on the head. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't see that.
He gave him like a little quick tap on the head, and that was probably like, "Hey man, good match." Like, hey, thanks for that. Thanks.
I gotta go. Match. I want to go back and see that.
Yeah, like Roosh is obviously, he takes the pinfall, and then right at the 3 count, you can see, before they change the camera, you can see Roosh tap MJF on the head like twice. He goes like, and I think that, obviously that was just like, "Hey man, great match. Like, thanks for giving me this spot. Or like, thanks for doing this. Whatever." We got the boss man showing up saying good morning. What up?
Morning.
What up, Spencer? Yeah, so it's going to be Hechicero and MJF at Forbidden Door. I don't know much about Hechicero, but in the matches I've seen, fine. You got to get MJF on that card. It's in his hometown. It's in his home building. You got to get him on the card. He's going to get a win. I think this is, is it, MJF, he's not in the world title picture. He's not in one of the main 3 or 4 stories. He just came back. Like, I think this is a perfect, this could open the show. It could be a good little mid-card spot to lift the crowd back up. Who knows? But like, this is fine, Drew. This is fine to me.
Something happened later on in the show that was
yes, and that we're going to talk about. We get another one of these. I hope they do it every goddamn week, Drew. We get another one of these fantastic interviews out in the back with Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh,
This time he's joined by Dante Martin and Orange Cassidy because they have a Super 8-man match. But I love how for the second week in a row, they did all the other three of them just did their thing. And then they're like, just let Briscoe go, man. Just let him go. And Renee just puts the mic in front of Mark Briscoe and they just let him go.
And they guide her too, because I think she was about to interview Orange Cassidy. It was.
Yes.
And then he's just like, everybody just was like, yeah, give it to Mark.
Yeah. And he talks about, he's like, I know I said last week, I know I said we can't look in the past if we want to move forward. And he's like, but last week we lost, blah, blah, blah. But we're not focused on that because the word of the day this week is vengeance, Drew. No, I'm sorry. That was last week. He said the word of the day is redemption. That's what it was. I'm sorry. He goes, he said there was 2 words of the day, right?
No,
yeah, because he said vengeance too, right? Am I crazy?
He said the word of the day is redemption. And he said the word of the day is vengeance, and the word of the day is redemption. That's right. 2 words of the day.
2 words of the day. Yes. Yes.
And I don't know how Orange Cassidy keeps a straight face.
I don't know how they all. I mean, Renee kind of doesn't hide it. Renee.
Oh no, they were all.
Well, yeah, they all are. And then
except Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. So he finishes this thing. He talks about the ladder match, and with Dante Martin, he's like, "We're opponents, but we're gonna be fine, whatever." And then Jack Perry walks by. And they all stare at Jack Perry. And he walks away. And Mark Briscoe he just says, Jack Perry, you bet you get your, he says something like, get his ass out of here. Or he's just yelling at Jack Perry. And then he just leaves. And then Kyle O'Reilly just goes, I will follow that man anywhere. Or something like that. He goes, I will follow that man. And he just walks off and follows Mark Briscoe. And then they show Dante Martin, and Dante Martin just goes, hell yeah. he just starts walking off. And then Renee just leans into Orange Cassidy and does the, how you doing? How you doing? And he's like, you want a bracelet? She's like, yeah. And then as they're going to commercial, he asks, she was like, who's that guy? Orange Cassidy goes, who's that guy? I don't even know who he's referring to. He's referring to Mark?
I would imagine so.
Right? Good stuff.
So good fun. Stuff. These are great. These are so good. These are so out of the norm of typical backstage interviewing.
It's so good.
So it makes my heart happy.
Yeah, they should.
Mark Briscoe.
I don't even care if he doesn't even have a
funny.
Yeah, like I don't even care if he doesn't have a match, Drew. Just let him have a promo segment every week. Like why? What? Who does that hurt? It's just gonna make me laugh. Incredible stuff. All right, Drew. We then get Will Ospreay.
Big time promo. Big time.
We have Will Ospreay walking down to the ring. Swerve Strickland then joins him. This got a little heated. This got a little personal. This got a little heated. So they square, they're there. Ospreay says, I'm going to look at my notes here. Ospreay says the last time they were in the ring together, he snatched the belt and held it on his shoulder. And he remembers Swerve saying he couldn't carry that weight. And Ospreay says, well, I'm very capable of carrying that weight. I've won 3 different titles in 3 different continents at the same time. He said, and then he called him Shane. He said, Shane, you'll find out who the best wrestler in the world is today. And then Swerve says, well, actually, I'm the best wrestler in the world. And he says he's been paying attention to Will. And they've had 2 different paths to get here, but they're meeting at Forbidden Door, blah, 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 blah. Swerve says that Will's held titles in multiple promotion, and he's got a foot in wrestling and a foot in, Swerve says he has a foot in 2 worlds, in wrestling and entertainment. And he doesn't need help from people like Don Callis to get to where he is. Ospreay then talks about the summer of Ospreay last year. He says, hey, I beat Kenny Omega. I beat Okada. I beat Shingo Takagi, which is very fitting they mention him because he's in the Owen. We're going to be seeing him very soon against Bryan Danielson in the first round. Jesus. Hose me down, guys. And the line that Ospreay says, I got to find it in the notes. Hold on one second. He says, while you were having a hit row, I had a hit list, and I didn't miss one of them.
That was real good. Real good.
That was a good line. That was a good line by Will. And then he does say, he goes, he's talking to Swerve now. He goes, this is your first main event as champion. And he goes, and what if his kill shot is just 1 centimeter off? Because he said he can do it with the Os Cutter or Stormbreaker or a hidden blade. And if he decides to bust out the Tiger and Driver 91, he'll be grateful to leave the building alive. I thought that was another good sequence too. And then Swerve kind of turns it around on him. Sorry, I have a lot of notes for this one. This was a heavy segment. I was trying to write down almost everything they said.
Yeah.
Swerve says that this might be his first main event as champion, but it's Will's first main event, period. And he doesn't have any.
Really?
That's what he said. Maybe he just meant in AEW, because I can't believe that's true.
Yeah,
probably. I can't believe that's true. Did he ever main event in New Japan? Yeah, was he the champ?
He has to have.
He was
their top champion.
Maybe he was just referring to his AEW run. I'm not sure, but that's what Swerve said. He said, this is your first main event, period. And Swerve says he doesn't have any friends because anyone that he had to go through to get to the title, they are bodies in a grave and they mean nothing. Goddamn, dude. And he says, what if I break your leg, Will? Who are you then? What if I break your arm? Who are you to your fans? He goes, you can break my arms, you can break my legs, you can take my title, I could leave wrestling, but guess what? I'm still Swerve Strickland, the entertainer, the actor, the podcaster. He goes, Will doesn't understand the sacrifices that he's going to have to make to get where Swerve is, and that includes sacrificing his son. The time with his son. Not actually sacrifice. Let's relax, people. Calm down in the chat. Let's not actually sacrificing people, but sacrificing time with his son and his family. And he doesn't know if Will wants to do that. And that is the point where Will Ospreay starts to get pissed off. And that's usually the point. Once you mention family, specifically kids or wives, it goes up a level, Drew. Then Will gets the mic and he says, don't ever talk about my son again. And then Prince Nana actually grabs the mic and tries to be the voice of reason.
We don't see that often.
No, he tries to be the voice of reason. He says, hey, guys, come on. Now's not the time. Forbidden Door. Let's relax. Let's relax. So Ospreay's starting to leave. Cooler heads have prevailed. But Swerve stops him. And he says, what if he... And Swerve goes, what if... Because Ospreay said, don't make this personal. And Swerve goes, what if I want to make this personal? And he goes, so when you come for the title, it's always personal. He goes, so he tells Will, he goes, go home and send your regards to Al and Harry. And when he says that, Ospreay just beelines it right to the ring, foreheads touching, going right after each other. No physical, no shoves, no punches, kiss. No nothing like that.
You know,
but
like Kate, the lovely Kate from Fightful said last night, no kiss.
No.
Like, what the hell? You're right next to it.
Oh, I must mention that during this, when Swerve mentioned the Don Callis family, Ospreay made it a point to say that he doesn't need the Don Callis family.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And when he said that, they showed the Don Callis family in the back watching this segment on a monitor. Because right after this, they go back there and Trent is pissed. And he's fired up about Ospreay disrespecting Don and the family. But Don calms them down and leads them off. And specifically, Kyle Fletcher was left there by himself. And Kyle Fletcher looked disgruntled. He had his head up in the air. He was like, and they left him there by himself because he obviously, as we've talked about at length here, Drew, he has the history with Will Ospreay. And then that's how that segment ends. Very good.
Yeah. Something's happening soon. I think
you'd have to think
coming.
You know, Ospreay is still in the Don Callis family. We've said from the jump that like that is something that can't last forever. It's lasted longer than I thought it would, to be honest with you. But he's still in there, and the Kyle Fletcher thing last night proved it. Like either that's gonna, it's either going to result in Kyle leaving with them or they become arch rivals. And I don't know right now. I don't know which way it'll go. I think they're going to be arch rivals first too. And then I think Will like finally get to him and he'll understand why Will had to leave Callis whenever he does, type of thing. But again, really, really good segment. Sold me a main event. I mean, I'm obviously sold on it by the match itself, but like this is adding story and adding more stuff to it. The Callis family, I do think will get involved at some point during this match. So their inclusion of showing them and mentioning them, and I think that makes sense. Scott saying Trent is only in the family because Stat asked Dawn to accept him in there, so screw him for getting mad. Hey, you're not wrong.
Screw Trent in general for turning on Orange Cassidy.
Literally. All right, Drew. We then had this super 8-man tag. It was Dante Martin, Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy versus the Callis family, which was Kineska and Fletcher, Roderick Strong, and Zack Sabre Jr., baby. This match just ruled. I don't have any strong, I don't have any super duper strong details about it. This was 8 dudes. It was chaotic from the jump. Got a little bit technical later on in the match with Zack Sabre Jr. showing off some of his wizardry that he does in the ring. But all in all, this was fast-paced, reversals, high-flying. Dante Martin looked excellent in this match.
There was not much to say. It's just, it was amazing.
There was one sequence that stuck out to me, and that was when the good guy team, the babyface team, all hit moves off the top rope, one after the other, all 4 of them. I thought that was a pretty cool sequence where Mark started it off with the elbow, then Dante Martin hit his little basketball move. And then Kyle O'Reilly hit the knee, and then it finished with Orange Cassidy not jumping, but falling off the rope with an elbow. I thought that was a good little sequence. It was all on Takeshita, too. And then Takeshita kicked out and kind of showed off his toughness and stuff like that. But, man, this was really, really good. At one point, Kyle O'Reilly sacrificed himself for Orange Cassidy, and he pushed him out of the way to take the knee from Roderick Strong, which allowed Orange Cassidy to then hit a orange punch and get the victory for the team.
Coming from that.
Yeah.
Because, usually because there's something we're going to talk about this because it's coming up. When one person in a team either takes more offense or pushes the other person out of the way to take a move, to sacrifice themselves, usually that means something.
Yes.
And, Kyle O'Reilly has been losing a lot lately and has been struggling with that fact that he's been losing a lot. And, Orange, of course, Orange Cassidy got the victory here, right?
Yeah. Kyle pushed him out of the way. So then he took the knee from Roderick, and then Orange Cassidy hit the orange punch on, I thought it was Roderick, but
I think it was Roderick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's sacrificing himself, and then Orange Cassidy is getting the win as a result of that. And I feel like it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly's time soon to rejoin with his bad friends.
For sure.
And yeah. So this was really good. And then we had, some craziness after the match as well.
Yeah, we sure did. Because after the match, Jack Perry attacks Dante Martin on the stage. And Mark Briscoe chases after him. But Takeshita meets him, and they brawl all the way to the back. In the middle of the ring, we have Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. kind of face-to-face squaring up, because that is the match for Forbidden Door for both those gentlemen. Will be against each other. That match should be great. Yeah, so it was a little hectic. You're starting to see the ladder match. The participants start to mess with each other. Jack Perry really just effing around with everybody, Drew. And that was it. It was really chaotic. It was really chaotic. They're kind of settling, spreading everybody out for their Forbidden Door matchups and things like that. I thought it was very, very well done. Another thing that I thought was very, very well done was this Mercedes Moné vignette on Stephanie Vacour. She talks about how she sent her friend Zeuxis last week, but Mercedes is just too good and she beat her and she's going to win at Forbidden Door. But I thought it was really good. I thought Mercedes was, this is more of Mercedes element to me than like live promo. She can cut an all right promo live, but this type of stuff like vignettes or like planned stuff like that, like this is where her kind of wheelhouse is because she was great in this. She was great in this. Then we see Roosh in the locker room, Drew. And he's obviously, angry. He lost his match to MJF earlier. And we see one Don Callis show up. He says something in Spanish to Roosh. And then that leads to Roosh kind of like punching the wall and looking pissed off. It sounded like he said something about an opportunity. I'm not great.
Yeah.
But it sounded like Don Callis said like, hey, I see a big opportunity if you work with me or you come with me or something along those lines. And Roosh looked kind of like, but he looked kind of agitated and he punched the wall and he was
hopefully it doesn't happen. But
I don't think I'd fully be against it, Drew. Because you got to figure, we are very shortly, Ospreay's leaving the Callis family. I would expect at some point Fletcher will be leaving the Callis family. So that only leaves Takeshita, who's been the longest tenured Callis, and then Trent, who just friggin' got there. So he's gonna have to.
Will Hobbs.
Yeah, Will Hobbs, true, but he's gonna be out for a while because he had a knee. It wasn't a knee thing, so he's gonna be out for a while. So Callis, most likely here in the next couple months, is gonna have to reinforce his Callis family because he's going to be losing members. And Roosh, do I think Roosh could do stuff on his own? Absolutely, but I don't think it hurts.
I don't think it necessarily hurts. I just don't like it when somebody's in a group for a long time and then gets out of the group and then immediately goes back to another group.
That I agree. Yes, I agree.
So, yeah, that's my only thing about it.
All right. It is time for the AEW World Tag Team Eliminator match. What we saw happen before this match might have been the greatest piece of professional wrestling television in the history of time.
Oh, man.
I almost fell out of my fucking chair. That's how much I was laughing. I almost fell out of my chair. So, the Young Bucks come out, and I don't remember the full thing, but Justin Roberts was like wearing colors that he was saying some ridiculous shit, and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
But we then get the Acclaimed come out to a good pop. No daddy ass there, just these two gents. They come out. Max is doing his thing, getting ready to hit the rap. He starts his first line. Microphone goes dead. Crowd is starting to get boo. The Young Bucks in the ring. They're like, well, what happened? The Young Bucks are doing that thing. And then we see Kazuchika Okada on the Tron. And he's sitting at the desk. He's got a headset on. Oh, yeah, that's right. He goes, yeah, that's what they said, Scott. They go, the Young Bucks wearing colors that perfectly match with their Reebok collection. Or something like that. Good stuff. And then we see Okada, and he's hitting. You can hear him hitting something. And he takes his headset off in disgust. And he goes, I think I hit the wrong button. And then he looks at the camera and he like fake cries and he just says, I'm so sorry. And then he like kind of covers his eyes. And when his eyes move, it's straight deadpan. And he just goes, bitch, and puts the headset back on.
I love this so much.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched it at least 10 times.
At
least.
I've said before, I didn't know how I was going to do with Okada coming in and immediately being a heel, but goddamn, it works. It's amazing,
dude. I was cackling. Basically, that's how much I was like. It was. He's been great. He's been funny, but this was like, holy crap, dude. This is like the fake crying, the I'm so sorry, and then the immediate. Oh my god, I died laughing.
It's perfect. It's perfect, and he fits in so well with the absolute douchebags of the Young Bucks, and it works so wonderfully.
So the group that they have now, it's really because you have the douchebag, power hungry Young Bucks, then you have Okada, who's doing like the comedy bit, and then you have Jack Perry, who's like the wild card outlaw. You know what I mean? Like the group they have, like it's a very good dynamic between the four of them because they're all bad guys, but they're all different kind of bad guys.
Yeah, they have cockiness in different forms.
Yeah.
You know, the Young Bucks are like the cocky businessmen, and Okada is like the cocky rich guy because they show him with all the fancy suits, and they give him the car. He's like the fancy rich guy, and Jack Perry is like the cocky young guy, but serious young guy. He's like he doesn't do any jokey stuff. He's not like, say, Max Caster.
Well, nobody likes Max Caster, so that's not. Is that?
But he's not like Max Caster.
No,
he's not. Would he? Cocky young jokester.
No, Jack Perry ain't telling any jokes nowadays.
I'm saying that for a reason.
I know.
Keep going.
So obviously no rap. So they start fighting. You know, and we were talking about it after this happened, and we'll get to it. But you know, you had just mentioned. I mean, Anthony Bowens took about 85% of the offense that the Young Bucks had. Like he got the crap kicked out of him for the majority of this match. To the point where his legs were given out. You know, the whole base of this match and commentary was how is Anthony Bowens how is he keeping going? Like, how is he surviving this onslaught? He took it was unbelievable. Like he was taking super kicks. He didn't take a V trigger, did he? But he was on the precipice of taking one. A BTE trigger, not a V trigger. You know what I mean?
He did. They did give him one.
They gave it to him, right? And he kicked out. Or did Max break it up?
Max broke it up.
All right. But he was taking so much physical abuse throughout this match, Bowens, and he kept on fighting. He kept on kicking out. Brandon, you are correct, my man. Thank you for the compliment there. We appreciate that. Hangman is on his way back. That is true. That is true story.
Something else that we're gonna. I sent this to you in your Twitter DMs. The brackets for both men's and women's Owen.
Mm-hmm.
That wild card
could be him. Could be the Hangman. Could be the Hangman. You never know. Or it could be Ricochet. Who knows? Or it could be Shane McMahon. You never know, Drew. You never know. You never know what can happen.
Yes, Scott.
In the world of professional wrestling, and that wild card could be. Yeah, Scott. Max was. Now
he was useless in this match.
I
wonder why.
Well, you have to tell me here because I might have missed it. When Bowens was taking all this beating, like had Max been taken out of the match by the Young Bucks, or was he just not around?
He conveniently was taken out.
So they attacked him and took him out.
Yes.
Okay.
That's very convenient.
Well, that's because you have you're hoping. You're still hoping your fantasy booking comes out to be the truth.
My big old conspiracy theory on this that listen, and unless we've been talking since last week's show, and we have gone back and forth on this, of all of the things that they have been doing that heavily leans on Max Caster turning heel. I mean, it's I won't say it's obvious, but all of these little story beats, like last week, we find out Anthony Bowens
got fined
$5,000. Why didn't Max Caster get fined? He's the one that's been rapping. He's the one that's been talking shit for the most part. Yeah. So why did Anthony get the fine?
Yeah. I mean, to me, that there is the most over-the-top thing that they've done. If that makes sense. Like, of the over-the-top things that they've done to kind of hint that maybe this is going to happen at some point, to me, that right there, because who's giving out the funds? The Young Bucks. So why would they only find Anthony and not find, you know what I mean? Like, that to me is super over the top. Last night, I mean, I still think we're probably heading. So, all right, well, let's talk about it, because Drew, when it happened, I messaged you and I was like, were the Acclaim just the first people to ever win a eliminator match? Because I feel like the last dozen of them have been friggin' all losses, which might actually be true. But the Acclaimed win. They win this match. So they will get a future AEW Tag Team Championship match. If it's already not been announced, I assumed it will be at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. And at the time when it happened, I was like, I cannot remember the last time an eliminator person won a match to get a title shot.
And obviously, I was trying to find.
Yeah, I believe it's the fifth one. It's the fifth one of all time.
No.
Yeah, it's the fifth one of all time. A bunch of people I did not fact check it, so maybe all those people lied to me, but a bunch of people on X said it was the fifth time ever.
Maybe the fifth one this year.
No, it was the fifth win. It was the fifth eliminator match win in the history of the company.
Yes. Okay.
In the history of the company, this was the fifth time that the challenger has won an eliminator match.
I literally don't remember a single one.
Yeah. We got Scott saying that Max will be a perfect lackey for the Elite. Maybe.
No, that's not happening. You mean Max Caster?
Max Caster, yeah, not MJF. Max Caster.
See, that's where I'm going with this, because he has been. Last week, he didn't get fined. They cut off his raps, but that's because the crowd has been wanting them lately. Mm-hmm. You know, back 2 months ago, everyone hated it and nobody wanted to hear it. But now lately, when he hasn't been getting to rap, the crowd have been booing.
Yep.
So it's by design. This has to be by design, because if they're just doing this and there's no plan of Max turning heel, I'm like, how you can clearly see a pathway to it. So you can't get upset if it doesn't happen, because you can't get upset at people who get upset if it doesn't happen, because I'm looking at this story as it's being presented and I'm like, this guy's turning heel.
Yeah, I mean, he probably is.
And I think he should join the Elite.
Well, I think that's probably what will happen. They'll lose their tag title match, and then either right afterwards or on the following Dynamite, I think that's probably what we get. Because I think they're ready. I think they're ready to strap Bowens to a singles push. I think they're ready for it.
Because I know
Bowens was at the Washington Nationals game, hitting George Washington over the head with a chair.
He does all these appearances. Max does not.
Yeah. I look at Anthony Bowens and I see, hey, not right now, because the main title picture and the top of the card is full at the moment. But I look at that guy and I go, that's an ambassador for the company.
Absolutely.
100% an ambassador for the company. Obviously part of the LGBTQ community. Great wrestler. He's a good person. You could tell he's a good person. He is the type of guy you want going to all these media things representing your company. And I think they know that. He knows that. We all know that. And I just think it's a matter of time. They've been in the company since the beginning, and like the Acclaim. Look they came out last night. They still got a huge fucking pop, Drew. And when they won that match, they got a huge ovation. Like, they're still over, dude. They're still over, and they got themselves over. We've been through this. We know the story. These were two guys that were just thrown together to be thrown together. And they said, let's try to do something. Let's try to make something of it. And they did. And they're successful because of it. But it's an act that is coming to an end. It feels. You can't do this forever. And I think Bowens is a superstar, like a legitimate ambassador, top of the company type guy for them. And I think that they're ready. I think we kind of, all of us are ready. But I think AEW is ready to strap the rocket to that guy.
And in this match, in this match last night, it literally looked like the Rocket was being strapped to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was the one for the last 10 minutes of the match taking all the offense. They were working on his legs so badly, and he was getting all that babyface fire. And Max would just jump in to, stop the pin or whatever, and then do the last move at the end. Like he literally was nowhere for the last 10 minutes of the match.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And then with the bracket now of the Owen Hart thing, everyone is saying, oh, well, it's going to be, maybe Ricochet will be the one that comes in for the wild card against Jeff Jarrett. But look at who's on the other side of that bracket. Not on the left side, but on that same side. You got Ray Phoenix and Jay White.
Yeah.
Well, Jay White and a certain someone with Adam Cole were in a trios match last year. And I think it was last year's Forbidden Door. And then he got injured. Or not, well, he had like a concussion or something in that match.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah. My only thing is, I don't think Hangman's winning the cup. Or he shouldn't, in my opinion.
It's going to be Hangman or Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, I think, But again, I think Danielson should. So that's where my brain is.
What a final that would be. Two men who had 2 matches together. One of them was a 60-minute?
30.
Yeah, because
was it
Brian's with Omega
was
a 30-minute time limit draw. And then the one with Hangman was a 60-minute time limit draw. So what a great final that would be.
Yeah, it would. Well, we're just going to have to see. Because
obviously I already know that Ricochet is coming in to replace Max on Team AEW for Blood and Guts. That's why.
Yeah, there you go. We see Samoa Joe and Hook out back. Samoa Joe's giving him a pep talk. I said they're going to go in there to take care of the learning tree. And he goes, I need you to be extra when we open the door. I need you to be extra, like, we got to get in there. And so they bust in there, and they're not in there. All we see is a note from Chris Jericho challenging them to a trios match on Collision. So Joe and Hook are like, all right.
No, that wasn't the learning tree. That was Premier Athletes.
Wait, was it? Wait. The Premier Athletes left him the note? Oh, yeah, because it was Mark Sterling. Yes, that's right. Why the fuck did I say Jericho?
Well, I think he's segmented after this.
Is that what happened?
They did a learning tree thing tonight.
Did they? Night. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so they have Mark Sterling's challenges to a trios match, and Joe and Hook look at each other, and then they look at the cameraman, and we never see him, but we just hear the talking device from Shibata, and it says he's going to smash those bitches on Saturday. So Shibata's still doing his cameraman shtick, I thought that was very funny. All right, then we have our contract signing, Drew. Mariah May is in the ring. She introduces Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm. And Mariah May says that she loves both of them, and she hopes the best woman wins. Oh, yeah, she hopes the best woman wins, but she wants them to know that she loves them. And no matter,
let's hit this last.
You want to hit this last?
Let's speed through the rest of it, because I think this is the main event was the main event and it was fine, whatever. This thing has like the most legs to it, and it's also our thumbnail for the day.
That is true. I think something that happened later had this had the most juice. Yeah, all right, that's fine. I'm cool with that. This had the most juice. All right. So then we had our women's Owen Hart Cup quarterfinals match. It was Chris Statlander going against Nyla Rose. Damn good to see Nyla Rose. I wrote something on Twitter about it. She got a great pop.
Yeah.
Good for her. She should be on our TV screens more often. I do not know why they don't use her.
I believe she is going to be on TV again for Rampage.
Good.
Or I don't remember.
Well, she's from the DC area, and they're in Virginia, which is kind of in that area.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there was I hope it's just not a hometown thing. Like, she should look at she should be on TV more often than she is. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
This was a really good match between these two. The two big, strong women. Kris Statlander showing off her power to hold her up for a freaking
incredible.
For that tombstone at the end of this to get the victory. Incredible stuff. Statlander wins. Statlander moves forward in the tournament. But it was very good to see Nyla Rose, and it was a damn good match here too. This was really good. Post-match, Stokely grabs the mic and he calls Willow Nightingale out and tells her that if she lays her hands on either one of them, she'll be pop locking in the same cell as Justin Timberlake.
That was wild.
Yeah, that was a good.
Wild.
That was a good one. Don't drink and drive, kids. So Willow then is on the Tron, cuts him off, and wishes everybody a happy Juneteenth before congratulating Kris on her win. And then she says, well, I don't know if you've looked at the bracket, but I have Serena Deeb on Friday and Rampage, and when I take care of business, you're not going to be able to run from me anymore. And she said, there'll be no running, and she'll be one step closer to her goal of fighting at Wembley Stadium.
Yes.
So I would assume Willow will win this match on Friday, and we're going to have a juicy second-round matchup between Statlander and Willow. I would main event it. I would main event it on Dynamite, to be honest with you. I would main event it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I really thought it was going to be the finals match, but hey, I was surprised to see them on the same side of the bracket. So that makes me think maybe it is going to end up being Mariah May versus someone, and then maybe Willow.
Yeah.
And Mariah is going to get it. I think Mariah is going to win this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what I think so far.
And then that'll set up Toni and Mariah in Wembley. And that's how you get to that. And then Shirakawa, who knows? We'll see. We then have Renee interviewing Private Party backstage. They say that Jericho learned last week that they were no joke.
The only thing that matters about this is that this week Learning Tree segment hit for me.
It hit for you.
Last week it did.
You liked it.
This week I liked it a lot, actually.
All right. So then, Jericho comes up. He says, hey, if you're fighting luchadors, you need to do this like I did when I was one of the most popular Mexican wrestlers ever when I wrestled there, blah, 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 blah. And then he leaves, and that's that.
It was funny. I love him deadpanning to the camera.
Yeah.
It's this part.
Bye, guys.
Was funny.
Bye, guys.
This I liked. And then, Brian Keith coming in at the end.
I was going to say, Big Cass even.
Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Big Cass even had a little thing where he's acting like Jericho, saying hi and being nice. And then, Brian Keith coming in and saying, you better respect Chris Jericho. Yeah. This week
it worked.
Yeah. We then had Daniel Garcia against Rhett Titus. This was another squash match for Daniel Garcia, but it was really what happened after that I think we're going to talk about for a minute here.
Yeah.
So Garcia gets the win. Post-match, Gates of Agony and Hechicero show up, and they start beating up Garcia and Daddy Magic, who was at commentary, who got in there to try to help him. MJF comes out, makes the save, but gets overwhelmed by the numbers game and Hechicero and whatever. And then Will Ospreay comes out, and he gets everybody. They clear the ring. We have MJF clotheslining Hechicero on one side, Will Ospreay clotheslining Brian Cage on the other, and they do that good old wrestling thing where they back up and they touch backs and they turn around, and we get that face to face.
And the crowd went ape shit.
And I was going ape shit.
As was I.
We get that face to face with MJF and Will Ospreay. Great tease by AEW, because that is a match that we all want to see. We all have to see.
MJF mentioned him in his return promo.
Yes, he talked shit about him, is what he did.
Shit.
Talk shit. That is a match that should be on the horizon, a match that we all want to see, and I thought that was a great tease to show that face-off right there, because we all know it's coming. We all know it's coming at some point. And I thought that was a really, really, really good tease. And I thought it was very important that after they do that, who's sitting in the corner? Daniel Garcia. And they both look at Will Ospreay. They both look at Daniel Garcia. But there's a reason that Daniel Garcia was still in that ring, obviously, because Daniel Garcia, not right now from a storyline perspective, I think the company views Daniel Garcia as the same level as those other two gentlemen. They just know they need to get him there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really good. MJF leaves the ring. Ospreay helps Daniel Garcia up. He lifts up the international title, basically saying like, hey man, whenever you want to go, I'm ready. Whenever you want to go, I'm ready. And my body is ready for that too. My body is ready for that too. And that was that. We then came back, and the main event of the evening was the men's Owen Hart Cup quarterfinals. It was Claudio Castagnoli against Pac. Very, very good match, as you would expect from these two. Danielson was on commentary, putting over both men. I thought the intriguing thing was they did that thing towards the end of this match where they're reversing pins with each other with the close 2 counts, and Pac actually got him.
Yep.
Pac in the middle at the end of that rolled up Claudio, and he got the 3 count, which is something you don't see very often. But I liked it. It was kind of like that shocking, like, oh shit, he got him, type of thing. Obviously, Claudio
was not happy.
He was not. Obviously, Claudio was upset. Pac is kind of staring down Danielson because if Danielson wins, holy shit, a second round matchup that is. Pac versus Danielson. God bless. So they're kind of looking at each other. Claudio and Pac share a kind of look where you're like, oh, are they going to shake hands? Are they going to whatever? And Claudio leaves the ring very angrily, and he's yelling at Danielson at commentary. Like he's legitimately yelling. He's like, don't say anything. Don't whatever. Like he's pissed to the point where like commentary even says like, yo, what's going on here? Like with this, this has been going on for a few weeks now. And Danielson's like, he's upset. He lost. I get it. So it seems like maybe they're leaning towards some, they're keeping this going with this dissension in the BCC, specifically with Claudio and Brian. Specifically, when Mox is there, the peace is there. But when it's just Danielson and Claudio, there's issues there, Drew. There's issues. And that was the main event of the show. It was a very, very good match. But yeah, Pac gets the victory and he moves on to face what I would assume most likely will be Bryan Danielson in the second round, that'll be a lot of fun. All right. So now we'll cycle back to the contract signing between Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa. They both come down. Mariah May tells them that she hopes the best person wins, but she loves them both. And no matter what happens. And at that point, Mina takes the mic and tells her to shut up. She looks right at Toni Storm. She goes, in Stardom, you were a legend. And she goes, and you came to AEW to become a star. But since you become champion, you've gotten soft and weak. She goes, everybody says we want Mina now, and nobody wants Toni. And at Forbidden Door, not only am I going to take your title, but I'm going to take your girl. And she looks at Mariah. And then she signs the contract. Then we have Toni. She raises her voice at May again. No. Toni says, hey, if you ever raise your voice at Mariah May again, I'll slap your bloody tits off. That's what she said. And she goes, then she says, when referring, she goes, you want a piece of Toni Storm? She goes, well, the buffet is open, so grab a bowl and line up. And then she says, I have some advice for you. Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. And she signs the contract and kind of snaps it in Mina Shirakawa's face. And then Mariah says it's official. And then Shirakawa grabs the mic again and goes, no, Mariah, you need to choose. And then right as, that happens, the Outcasts, Saraya and Harley Cameron, they come down. Saraya says that she's sick of all this. And she's blah, blah, blah. And she goes, but I didn't come alone tonight. And then we see from the other side of the ring, Anna Jay pulls Mariah May to the floor. They start beating up Toni and Mina. They lean the table on the corner. It looks like they're going to throw somebody through the table, but Storm recovers, and she has Saraya laid out like she's going to get the hip attack through the table. And at the very last minute, Anna Jay and Harley Cameron move her out of the way, and Toni Storm goes through the table. And that's how this segment ends. So, lot to unpack here. I think they did the ending segment because we're probably going to get a trios match before Forbidden Door next week, I would guess. With the 6 of these women.
Yeah.
Did they already announce it? No, maybe? I don't know.
But
I'm expecting
we'll get... it was heading that way.
Yeah, we'll get that match, which I'm also cool with Anna Jay, like, kind of officially joining Saraya, and that I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I like Anna Jay. Give her something to do. I'm cool with it.
I think she has an outcast, like...
Yeah.
I
mean, she kind of has. She was in... Look at all the group. Yeah, she was in Jericho's group. She was in the Dark Order, obviously, and, like, different things happen, but she obviously got, like, outcasted from those groups. She's not in those groups anymore. So I think it makes sense. But really the juice here is this is turning into a love triangle with Mariah May.
Here's the more interesting thing. This is why I wanted to talk about this last, because it's got one. Obviously, you've got Will Ospreay and Swerve, and you've got the MJF thing, and you've got
Moxley and Knight. Are you talking Forbidden Door?
I was talking about on the show.
On the show. Yeah.
Specifically, really, really good stuff. The Eliminator match.
Yep.
The big 8-man match. But one of the bigger stories that I think is being underplayed is this whole story right now, because ever since I've not heard anybody mention this before, so I don't know if anyone realizes it, but ever since, because how this pairing with Mariah May and Toni Storm started was Mariah May desperately trying to get Toni Storm's attention. Mm-hmm. So much so that she's like, in the matches, she goes up and she wins the match. She's like, "Did you see my match? Did you see my match?" And she's like puppy dogging her.
Yeah.
For weeks. All of a sudden, Toni Storm starts taking a liking to her more.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling her to her bosom and the kissing and whatever. Mina Shirakawa comes in. Where's Mariah May's attention now?
Mm-hmm.
Not on Toni Storm.
Nope.
Ever since Toni Storm has shown admiration for her, she has not shown the admiration back.
Mm-hmm.
She's been on Mina's side. And this tonight, Toni Storm is in the ring. She's getting attacked by the Outcasts. She gets put through that table. Well, she goes through the table herself, but she's there in the ring by herself. Where's Mariah May? All the way up on the stage with Mina Shirakawa.
Mm-hmm.
Very telling.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And that's what makes me think that Mariah May is winning this match, the Owen, because I think they're starting to get Toni Storm on the babyface side.
Mm-hmm.
There's first of all, nobody wants to boo her.
Yep.
Nobody's been wanting to boo her for months. This character is one of the most over things in the company.
Yep.
And everything she says is gold. Not one time have I heard a boo out of any audience when she is on screen, when she is talking. Because she is one of the most layered and just perfect characters in this company right now.
I agree.
But ever since she decided to show Mariah May any type of attention, any type of admiration, Mariah May whips right around and goes to Mina.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and I think the way they shot it was very telling, because, like you said, how does this segment end? How does this segment end before they go to commercial? It ends with Mariah taking care of Mina, and then they pan to the ring to show Luther and Toni Storm kind of staring up at Mariah and Mina, like with the look on her face, like, what the hell? Kind of thing. Like, huh? Why you up there and not down here with me? And I agree with you fully. I think we've been talking about this for a while, and we've been like, they're eventually going to have to do the Mariah Toni thing. Well, I think this is it. I think Shirakawa is the person that's going to start the divide. And we're already seeing it happen. It's starting the divide. then all of a sudden Mariah, like you said, if Mariah wins the Owen, all of a sudden now she has a title match, and Toni Storm's like,
Toni
wait,
Storm specifically did in her favor. It's because the match is going to happen because Toni Storm put her there.
Yeah. So it's very good. It's very good. And the layers on this, which to me is good because, like, honest, like, and we've talked about it, like, I don't watch Stardom, so I've heard of some of these performers, but I've never really seen them wrestle. So, like, this Shirakawa person has been over here for a little bit now, and they've kind of presented her in this way and giving her a world title match and all this stuff. And the whole time for me, I'm just like, I don't know this person. Like, who is this person? What, they're getting a world title match? Like, what's going on? And the way that they've informed me as a viewer of, like, the history with her and Mariah and Toni, and now this is a juicy angle, dude. This is like I said, like, it's not like outwardly romance, but this is a love triangle that's happening right here.
Yeah.
And I think it's very good. It has my attention. And I want to see where it goes, because I don't know if this is just with the three of these women. Yeah, Forbidden Door next week might be the only title shot that Shirakawa gets for a little bit, but, like, I don't think that this story with the three of them just ends next week. The Mariah Toni one we know is going to be a lot, but, like, I think Shirakawa is going to be involved here. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Shirakawa, like, joins their little group, kind of.
Well, what I think is going to end up happening is that for Wembley, for All In, when they have that match, I think Mariah May is going to be the heel with Mina.
I think it's a strong chance.
Yeah, because obviously Toni Storm, like I said before, Toni Storm has been presented as a heel, but has not been getting heel reactions at all.
No, none. Not at all. Very intriguing.
It looks like it's really, it's setting up Mariah May turning on the person that she wanted all the admiration from in the beginning.
Yeah, but guess what? Along the way, we talked about this when Mariah May had that match a couple weeks ago. Along the way, she's been looking for that admiration, and she gets it from time to time. Toni says the right things, and occasionally she'll, but, like, when Mariah May was getting beat a couple weeks ago in the middle of the ring by Saraya, who showed up last night in this segment, when Mariah May was getting beaten in the middle of the ring by Saraya last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and they had that camera angle with Mariah May looking directly at Toni Storm at commentary, basically saying, hey, remember all those times I help you? You come help me. Toni Storm has not helped her fucking once in situations like that. Not once. And Mariah has been doing it for Toni this whole time. And so when you say, like, hey, the admiration, that's what she's been looking for. Yeah, it has. And she's not seeing it from Toni, but now she has this Shirakawa girl who's given her that admiration, who wants Mariah May. And that's going to make Mariah May be like, oh, I want this person, but this person don't want me, but this person wants me. So I'm going to team up with this person, and I'm going to take out this person, because fuck this person. And that's exactly what is happening here. And it's good stuff, Drew. It's good stuff. All right.
I tell you, once you get talking about it, it actually, you realize this is actually a real awesome
juicy
story.
Yeah, it's juicy. Because, listen, this is obviously dramatized. It's pro wrestling. But this type of stuff, hey, I like this person, but this person doesn't like me. But this person likes me, but I'm not going to appreciate this person because I want this person. We all have, that's normal life shit.
Yeah.
We've all lived through situations, whether we were the person somebody didn't want, or we've all lived, we've all done that. That's a part of life, is that those type of things sometimes. And I think that it's a really juicy story that I think a lot of people can relate with. Obviously, at a grandiose, take it to 11 and 12 instead of, pro wrestling, But the base of the story is a story that most of us have probably lived through at one point, Really good shit. Really good shit. And for like, this is going to be like, it's the main women's title match, but like I feel like last night, and I'm not the hugest, I don't hate him like our buddy Warren Hayes does, but I'm not the hugest contract signing fan all the time. But I thought last night that one really progressed this story a lot. It was great. But all right, we got to get out of here for the week. We will be back next Thursday evening. No, that's wrong. Next Thursday morning at 10 a.m. As we lead into Forbidden Door. We will be here to talk about the Go Home show on Dynamite. We'll probably, Drew and I will talk off stream, but maybe we'll do something as like a pick show or something like that, like we did last month for Forbidden Door as well. You can find me here back tonight on this very channel, 8 p.m. with my man Pluggo, doing Between Two Beards, leading into another giant edition of Quizplex. Little Mean Kathleen is back to defend her title against two worthy opponents. On our way out of here, Drew, do the damn thing. Let the people know where they can find you so we can get out of here.
Follow me at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter. All my shit's there. You'll see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
There we are. So I'll see you later on this evening here for Between Two Beards. We appreciate you all tuning in. Scott in the chat, Brandon in the chat, Spencer, all those guys. Thanks for keeping the chat alive throughout the show. For Drew, for myself, appreciate you all. And until next Thursday, you guys know the drill. Peace out.
Peace out.